In this video, I will lay out a meal plan that can reverse your stubborn belly fat that is due to PCOS, also known as Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. This is a condition that is associated with high levels of male sex hormones like high testosterone levels. In a nutshell, PCOS is when you have very low tolerance levels to carbs, and that's what drives your male sex hormones to go up. Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Zaldivar, and I was a nutrition professor for decades at the University of Miami, Miami-Dade College, and the American College of Sports Medicine. I have a Ph.D. in exercise physiology from the University of Miami, and I managed to finally overcome my weight loss struggles, and I've lost 30 pounds, and I've maintained it. And I will remember to show you a transformation picture at the end of this YouTube video. I was also featured on the first ever TV show in the carnivore diet called Reverse TV series. But don't worry, the carnivore diet is not the only meal plan that can reverse PCOS. I'm going to take a couple of minutes for a quick recap before I give you the meal plan on how to reverse stubborn belly fat that is due to PCOS. So PCOS is a hormonal condition that affects up to 13% of women, and the vast majority of women, 70% of them, really don't even know that they have it. PCOS is a hormonal disorder that causes your ovaries to produce too many androgens. Androgens is also known as basically your male sex hormones. So you have more male sex hormones like testosterone relative to your estrogens or female sex hormones. What are symptoms of PCOS? Hirsutism or excessive hair growth on the face, chest, and abdomen. So you might have chin hair, a heavy mustache, sideburns. Also, hair loss or even male pattern baldness. So you start having thinning of hair at the temples or in the back of your head. Acne, even throughout adulthood. Hormonal acne, polycystic ovaries. You can only determine that with an ultrasound if you see a gynecologist. Obesity and resistance to weight loss. So you would be gaining weight and it would be very difficult for you to lose weight. And so you feel like you have stubborn body fat and also stubborn lower belly fat that no matter what you do, it's almost impossible to get rid of. Also, infertility or reduced fertility. And you can determine that usually by having heavy menstrual cycles, or you miss some cycles, or your menstrual cycle is not at a specific time every month. All of these things usually indicate that there is a deeper issue at play. Oftentimes it's PCOS. As a matter of fact, I've had 2 clients in the past few months alone that finally got pregnant because of this meal plan. They came to me for weight loss and they weren't even trying to get pregnant even though they wanted to. So as they were losing weight and I put them on this meal plan, they not only lost weight and got healthier, but their cycle regulated, it came back, and 2 of them got pregnant after years. One of them had spent 7 years in the Canadian system seeing every single fertility doctor that was afforded to her, tried so many IVF rounds, all of them failed, miscarried multiple times, and she actually just delivered her baby, a healthy baby boy. While there is not one test that will diagnose PCOS, some of the tests that are run to get a better idea whether or not you have PCOS are hormone levels. So they will check for testosterone, luteinizing hormone or LH, follicle stimulating hormone or FSH, and sometimes DHEAS, which is DHEAS is similar to testosterone. It's a male sex hormone. It's called dihydroepiandrosterone sulfate. They will also test for your blood sugar levels to see if you have insulin resistance, which is very common in PCOS. So you will normally have high levels of fasting blood glucose. I would go one step further and also test for fasting insulin, which will give us a much better idea of whether or not you are insulin resistant or not. And they will do a pelvic ultrasound to see if you have cysts on your ovaries. Diagnosis is made if you meet at least 2 of the following 3 criteria. So irregular periods or infrequent periods, blood tests showing that you have high levels of male hormones such as testosterone, and scans showing if you have polycystic ovaries. So only if you test positive for 2 out of those 3 are you diagnosed with PCOS. So if you have irregular periods, for example, and you have high levels of testosterone, you don't even have to go and get an ultrasound to see if you have cysts on your ovaries. We already know that you have PCOS. Also, if you have high levels of prolactin, so hyperprolactinemia or hyperprolactinemia, and if you have hypothyroidism, those could be underlying causes of PCOS. So I would run the full thyroid panel, because it's not enough to just get a regular thyroid test, which is what most endocrinologists are going to do for you, which is just a TSH. I have a full video that outlines the full panel of the thyroid hormones that you would want to get, because it really detects so many more cases of hypothyroidism. I will link that video at the end of this YouTube video. And then I will also test for prolactin levels to make sure that that's not an underlying cause for PCOS. If it turns out that you have hypothyroidism, again, check that thyroid video so that you understand what I would do in that case. Now, if you have high levels of prolactin in your blood, normally what doctors will do is they will give you a drug like cabergoline or a dopamine agonist, something to stimulate your dopamine receptors. Before you do any of those, what I personally would recommend is to raise your baseline dopamine, because you would do it that way naturally by increasing the activity of dopamine in your brain. And that can have wide-ranging benefits on every single system in your body and your motivation and happiness levels as well, without any negative side effects that are associated with the drugs normally prescribed. I do have a video explaining a little bit how to do that. I will make sure I link the raising baseline dopamine levels video at the end of this YouTube video. And I also have a more in-depth exploration of this topic in my guide, Dopamine Brain, which you can find on my website, drzaldivar.com/shop. Before I dive into the meal plan, it's really important also that you know that simply losing weight, whichever way you do it, in a lot of cases is going to completely reverse PCOS. And I know that this is a catch-22 situation where it's like, well, it's hard for me to lose weight because I have PCOS, and you're telling me that I need to lose weight in order to reverse PCOS. Well, it's hard for you to lose weight if you do it in a traditional diet, just counting calories, right? And still consuming the carbohydrates. It would be next to impossible, really, to lose weight that way. But if you do it in the way that I'm going to break it down for you right now, it's going to be a lot easier, and it's going to help facilitate reversing the PCOS. And then as you reverse PCOS, maintaining this lower body weight and even losing more weight becomes even easier. As you can see in this study published in the year 2000, it showed that around half of the subjects reversed their PCOS just by losing weight, and they reversed all of the symptoms also associated with PCOS, like the acne, the facial hair, the infertility, and all that kind of stuff. So that's very exciting. Another equally exciting study showed how just weight loss surgery, again, I'm not recommending here weight loss surgery. I think you don't want to be chronically undernourished and relying on supplementation for the rest of your life, because that's what's going to happen if you go that route. But it just goes to show you that whichever way you lose weight can also reverse PCOS. This study showed that almost every single person that did the bariatric surgery and lost weight reversed their PCOS symptoms. In addition, fertility was restored, so their cycles normalized, the facial hair and the hirsutism also went away significantly, and a lot of them had complete reversal of PCOS at the 1-year mark after the bariatric surgery. Again, I'm not recommending surgery. As a matter of fact, I would urge you to do it the right way, because that way you will have way better health and motivation and energy levels for life, as opposed to constantly having to rely on supplementation to meet your basic nutritional needs. And that's only based on the supplements that we have available on the market. Nutrition is a very recent science, and so there's so many vitamins that we're still discovering, so many nutrients that we're still discovering and realizing how critically important they are to be ingested in our diet. And so go at it the right way. But it's just good to see how weight loss alone is such a powerful factor in reversing PCOS. And the last point before we dive into the meal plan is vitamin D deficiency. If you are deficient in vitamin D, we know that that's correlated with PCOS and also correlated with hypothyroidism. If you remember, we said that hypothyroidism drives PCOS. And so make sure you have a basic vitamin D test if you're not sure what your status is. And if you are deficient, then supplement and or get some wild-caught salmon, although that might just not be enough to reverse a deficiency. Okay, now I mentioned in the beginning of the video that having a low level of tolerance to carbohydrates is the most common driver of PCOS. which means that the quickest way to address PCOS and reverse PCOS and your inability to lose stubborn body fat is to monomaniacally avoid carbohydrates. The most powerful two diets that can achieve that are a ketogenic diet and a carnivore diet. A ketogenic diet restricts carbohydrate intake to less than 25 grams per day, and a carnivore diet is really a zero carb diet unless you're doing milk, yogurt, and cottage cheese, which I would highly discourage on this kind of carnivore diet if your goal is to reverse PCOS. I would also add one more diet that can give you powerful reversal of PCOS symptoms, and that would be a ketovore diet. I will make sure that I link that specific meal plan at the end of this YouTube video. But right now, I'm going to give you meal plans for a ketogenic way of eating and a meal plan for a carnivore way of eating. And just know that there's one more thing you could do, which is the ketovore, which is kind of somewhere in the middle between ketogenic dieting and carnivore dieting. Alrighty, let's start with breakfast examples. We're going to start with ketogenic ways of eating, and then we're going to do the carnivore ways of eating. Now, within the ketogenic framework, you have two options. You can either focus on whole foods ketogenic foods, which are obviously healthier and they can get your results a lot faster. Or if you're still not ready to completely go whole foods, then there are pretty much every single ketogenic fast food or really delicious food option that has been made into a ketogenic version. And you can also have that. I know that when I transitioned into keto before I eventually did carnivore, that's what I did. I really did dirty keto. So I was doing protein bars, I was doing protein shakes, I was doing keto pizzas that are frozen, ready made. You just pop them in the microwave. And then eventually I cleaned that up. And then eventually I transitioned to carnivore. And that for me was very easy to do. But it's really up to you if you want to go into the cleanest version or of a whole food diet or not. I'm going to give you all the options and you get to choose. Okay, keto examples of breakfast would be things like eggs and avocado with some pink Himalayan salt, mixed nuts. Make sure you get the nuts that aren't roasted in seed oils because they're just too inflammatory. And a lot of nuts on the market, especially the cheaper versions, they will roast their nuts in sunflower oil, or usually it's peanut oil and or cottonseed oil. Any kind of seed oil like that, or canola oil, grapeseed oil, all those kinds of oils are really damaging and can actually lead to insulin resistance, which is the exact thing that we're trying to reverse in order to reverse PCOS. Also, if we're looking at nuts on a ketogenic diet, make sure that you don't overdo it with cashews. Cashews are the highest in carbohydrate content, and so they make it very difficult for you to maintain that 25 grams or less of total carbohydrate for the day. And macadamia nuts are the best on keto diets because they have the highest fat macros and the lowest amounts of carbohydrates. So you can do a meal like mixed nuts with cheese cubes. You can do keto pancakes using coconut flour or almond flour. There's so many free, delicious, easy to make ketogenic recipes online. And you can top the keto pancakes with something savory like eggs or melted cheese, or you can do sugar-free chocolate on top or sugar-free syrup on top. As you can see, those are processed foods and they can be fine as a transitional period, but maybe not the best option to aim for the rest of your lives. There are a lot of ketogenic brands that offer every single ketogenic food you can think of, like Quest. They have Quest protein bars, they have Quest muffins, Quest brownies, they have protein shakes. Also, Lily's brand has all kinds of chocolates, any flavor you want in a sugar-free way. Real Good is a fantastic brand as well that has keto pizzas, keto chicken nuggets, keto enchiladas, keto frozen dinners, frozen breakfast, all that kind of stuff. Keto ice cream brands. So it's really very easy to do the ketogenic version because you almost need no discipline whatsoever and no feeling of pain or discomfort or suffering as you make that transition. Now, a healthier way of going about it would be a carnivore breakfast. Some breakfast meal ideas in a carnivore lifestyle will include things like eggs and bacon, or eggs and melted cheese on top, or an egg omelet. This is one of my favorite recent breakfasts. I've been doing egg omelets, and I will fill it with a couple of slices of baby Swiss cheese and 1 tablespoon of butter, and then close it up. And it's absolutely delicious and just a little bit of variety in my monotonous diet. Or you could just completely skip breakfast, by the way. This works for the keto or carnivore lifestyle, and oftentimes you will naturally not be hungry in the morning. And as you start to reverse insulin resistance and as you start to reverse PCOS, you will start to notice that it's easier and easier to push that first meal of the day by an hour or 2 or 3. And a lot of times I won't really eat until it's like 2 or 3 p.m., sometimes just one meal a day. I try not to do that too often because I like to work out and I like to build muscles. And so doing extreme fasting or one meal a day is kind of difficult to get all the nutrients that your body needs to build your muscles and your brain in response to an exercise program. But this might be helpful for people who cannot work out or don't want to work out. Another option would be eggs with some cream cheese on the side and cut up smoked salmon. A smoked salmon and egg scramble is absolutely delicious, and then you top it with that cream cheese, and it is to die for. You can do chaffles with cheese. So chaffles is basically a carnivore waffle, and it's usually just 2 ingredients. It's shredded mozzarella cheese with a beat up egg, and you mix them all together. You put them in a waffle maker, and then you can fill them up with some cheese and butter. Let's do lunch. Keto examples of lunch would be something like a Caesar salad or a garden salad with chicken breast. You can even keep the croutons in because they're very little, and as long as the total amount of carbohydrate is no more than 25 grams, then you should be fine. You can also do things like sauteed peppers, sauteed mushrooms, caramelized onions, kind of like a fajita veggie scramble. And you just do the veggies and then you add that to a grilled salmon. You can do mashed cauliflower with grilled steak. You can actually buy mashed cauliflower that's a ketogenic dupe of regular mashed potatoes. And you have all kinds of brands that offer frozen mashed cauliflowers that are a very easy side to add to any form of protein on a keto diet. You can get real good brand keto pizza or a real good enchiladas. I've tried those in the past and I think they taste really good. Now, carnivore examples of lunch would be just a ribeye steak or a ribeye steak topped with some baby Swiss cheese or any kind of cheese of your preference, or topped with some butter. Now, when we're doing carnivore examples of lunch and dinner and even breakfast carnivores, you really want to go hard with the portion sizes because you're not eating veggies for the volume. So you want to make sure you feel full, and that means more protein than what we're used to. Another carnivore lunch example would be a very large portion of grilled salmon with some cream cheese on the side. You can do lobster langostino. This is one of my favorite options. It's just frozen bags of lobster. Those are kinds of lobster that look like shrimp, but it's easier to prepare. You don't really have to prepare it because with frozen shrimp, you have to peel them, you have to devein them from the top and the bottom. It really takes a long time to prepare. With the lobster langostino, you don't have to do any of that. You just thaw it out for like 10 minutes under cold running water and they're ready to go. I like to saute them with garlic herb butter. Also, they pair really well with some slices of bacon on the side. Another carnivore lunch example are some sauteed shrimp and oysters and crab with some melted butter. You can do ground beef burgers topped with melted cheese, with or without cheese. And you can do a chicken rotisserie. If you're pressed for time or you're on vacation, this is something that I find myself buying a lot of times. Just a ready-made chicken rotisserie from any grocery store will do. You can also do carnivore crisps. Those are dehydrated slices of meat. And what I like to do is I top them with a little bit of shredded cheese and I put them in the microwave for 30 seconds, and then I serve them with a little bit of light sour cream or regular sour cream, depending if you're trying to create a massive caloric deficit or not. I will make sure I pop my coupon code here so you can get 10% off of their website. Also, I never leave the house without a carnivore bar. It's like a meal replacement. It's like pemmican, just dried up beef with beef tallow and salt. Really, it has saved me from a lot of times where I'm getting a little hungry and I have no access to real food, so I'll just eat a carnivore bar. I will also make sure I pop my coupon code here so you can get 10% off of their website. Let's do dinner options. Let's do the ketogenic lifestyle first. We can do things like cauliflower rice or even broccoli rice plus any kind of protein. We can do things like chicken thighs with the skin on. You kind of want some of that animal fat because it gives you the fuel that you're running on. When you're doing keto or carnivore, you're running on fat. And so you don't want to go very lean protein and no carbs. You might not feel too good. So cauliflower rice or broccoli rice with some chicken thighs with the skin on is a great option. You can do nut butters. Make sure it's sugar free. They don't have added sugars to whatever nut butter you choose. And you can add that on keto breads. You can buy keto bread that's ready made, or you can make your own. And you can have some dark chocolate or sugar free chocolate on the side. You can do keto pizzas. You can do zucchini noodles with some grilled lamb chops. You can do low carb salad. So make sure the salad doesn't have a lot of corn or peas in it, because then that can really eat into your 25 grams of total carbs for the day. And then blue cheese dressing is 0 carb. It's absolutely delicious. Even ranch tends to be 0 carbs a lot of times. So you can do that plus tuna or steak or pork chops with shredded cheese on top. Carnivore examples of dinner. Again, all of these can be similar to the lunch examples, but let's give you some more ideas. So you can do things like a carnivore pasta. You can Google carnivore versions of pasta. It's very easy to bake, actually. You can do carnivore mozzarella sticks. I actually have a great recipe for carnivore mozzarella sticks. So instead of using regular breading, you're using pork rinds. And you can get that for free if you sign up to my newsletter within 24 hours of this YouTube video going live. I will email you a free copy of my 30-day carnivore diet challenge. It's close to 200 pages and it guides you through a step-by-step process of how to make that transition to a carnivore diet. And towards the end, you will find some recipes and you will find the carnivore mozzarella sticks recipe that I really like. The link to sign up to my newsletter is in the description box below towards the top. More carnivore dinner examples would be things like smoked turkey legs, Wagyu steak. Now be careful, Wagyu steaks are very high in calories and high in fat. So if you also want to lose weight, you really want to be careful of that. You can do a raclette cheese dish that is absolutely delicious. Air fried pork belly, air fried chicken wings and drumsticks with whipped butter. This is my personal favorite. I just get chicken wings and drumsticks and I pop them in the air fryer. And normally they tell you that you should cook them for 15 minutes, but I don't think that that's enough to make them really crispy and really delicious. I put them for 30 minutes at around 370 degrees Fahrenheit, and I serve them with some whipped butter on the side, and they're an absolutely delicious lunch and or dinner on carnivore. Also, you can make pulled pork, and again, make sure you eat a hefty portion because that's the only thing you're eating really on a carnivore diet. And I'm gonna pop up my 30-pound weight loss transformation now so you can see how this diet has worked for me and this way of eating has worked for me, and it really helps me maintain all of this weight loss almost effortlessly at this point. Now, I'm gonna add one more thing, that if you really want to get aggressive results, if you really want to reverse insulin resistance and reverse PCOS as quickly as possible, and if you really want to lose the stubborn body fat as quickly as possible, then moving your body is going to help you achieve that. So whatever kind of exercise you can do, as long as you can move your body, the more you move it, the faster the results and the more aggressive the results are going to be. If you're interested in more in-depth help and support, check out my coaching on drzaldivar.com/coaching. And for my guides like the Dopamine Brain Guide that will help you increase your baseline levels of dopamine, you will find all the guides on drzaldivar.com/shop. And I hope this kind of content was helpful. If you think this can help your friends and family members, make sure you share it with them. Also, make sure you let me know that you're enjoying this kind of content by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing, and hitting that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.